Hi, everybody. I am so excited to have you join us today with, hands down, one of my most favorite men in all of chiropractic, the Dr. Mark Sanna. And who better to tell us about delegation than this amazing man and all of the things that he juggles? Seriously, I friend him on Facebook because I live vicariously through him, which is funny because people tell me all the time they stalk me on Facebook because I travel so much, but not near as much as this man. And where he goes is far more exciting than where I go. But he is helping people all over the world. And so we're super excited that he had a break in his schedule so he could be with us today. So a little bit about him. He is one of the few people who has found his life's work, which is very evident by the passion and the enthusiasm and the love he puts into the work he does. He is the CEO of Breakthrough Coaching, which is an international healthcare practice management consulting firm. They teach about outcome-based, functionally oriented system of procedures that focuses on preparing healthcare providers to become the providers of prevention and wellness services in their practices. He is a fellow of the International College of Chiropractors, a member of the American Chiropractic Association's Governor's Advisory Cabinet. I get to work with him at the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress. He is the Finance Committee Chair for the Chiropractic Summit, where I also get to hang out with him, and a National Chiropractic Legal Action Fund board member. So, like I said, have you met anybody who could tell you more about delegation than him? I think not, because he's a busy, busy man. So, Dr. Sanna, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much, Christy. It's a pleasure.
We'll turn this over to you.
Well, as Christy said, we're going to talk about how to delegate effectively, and it really is how can you get the most. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. How can you get the most out of those 24 hours, have the most impact, make sure you get to your highest priority tasks and get it done. So with that being said, I'm going to take you through a process. We'll do a little bit of a delegation quiz together. I'm going to share with you a few of my delegation stories. And then I'm going to share with you an online tool that, if you embrace it, will literally transform how you manage your practice team and accelerate the growth of your practice. It's something that I've used for many, many years with chiropractic practices, and I think you're going to love it. So I'll walk you through the step-by-step of how to use one of my favorite black belt ninja secrets for delegation. So delegation, of course, simply means getting things done through others, right? We can't do it all alone. We need to have others help us with it. So if you're committed to living a satisfying, fully life, I mean balanced life personally and professionally, delegation is essential at home and in the office as well. By delegating tasks to others, you're going to free up your own physical energy, your emotional energy especially, because if you are a half delegator, right? You delegate it and then you never really let it go because it's always a little part of your mind in the back there thinking about, well, is that getting done? Should I stay on top of it? Do I have to follow up with it? Well, guess what? You've only got certain quanta of energy that you can expend during the day, and walking around with lots of incomplete delegation circles or cycles is going to wear you out. You're going to end up the day tired. You're going to end up the day dragging instead of just feeling happy and fulfilled about having a great day and ready to be home. Every minute that you spend doing something that somebody else can do is 1 minute less that you can spend doing something that only you can do. My great friend John DeMartini teaches that 20% of what you do produces 80% of the results, right? And he teaches docs even to look at the chiropractic adjustment and determine what are those 20% of those adjustment moves that you do that get 80% of the results, right? Do more of that, right? So learning about what your 20% is and then getting the other stuff, the other 80% off your plate, is what effective delegation is all about. So Donald Keough, he's a former president of Coca-Cola, small little company. You might have heard of that one out of Atlanta, Georgia. He says what separates those who achieve from those who don't is in direct proportion to your ability to ask for help, right? Gosh, you've got to learn. I've had to learn over the years. I can't do it all. I need to say, Uncle, I need to say, I need your help. Can you help me on this? And I promise you, there is nothing more than people love to hear than, can you help me, please? In fact, it's probably the greatest way to ask for a referral in your chiropractic practices. Bob, you've been doing so great as a patient here in the practice. Can I ask you a favor? Well, sure, doc, anything. I'd love to have an office filled with people just like you, Bob. Will you help me spread the word? Can you tell your folks, your friends, your people that you really appreciate about chiropractic and send them on into the office so I can help them too? Would you help me with that? Those magic words of asking for help. Wow, that's a game changer for you. So I've got a really interesting graphic up on the screen now, and it's called your practice team. And I do an exercise in seminar. If you can imagine a seminar room full of people, I like to do this actually if you have your team meeting and bring your staff together. Even if you're 4 or 3 people, ask people to close their eyes and to point north, right? Wherever you're sitting, close your eyes, point north. And when you open up your eyes, it's great to do it in a great big seminar room full of people and dozens of people, because they're all pointing in every single different direction. Some people are pointing up because that's where north is on the map, right? It's what happens in your chiropractic practice. So as you can see up on our screen, the doctor has a purpose, and that's examining patients, adjusting patients, doing his or her documentation. Our CAs have their own purpose for being in the practice: financial arrangements, filing insurance, making insurance follow-up calls, doing financial reports with patients. Front desk has their own set of priorities coming in, scheduling visits, collecting fees, entering the services into the computer. And then your back office CAs are going to have their own purpose: applying therapy, teaching exercises, doing patient ed, monitoring patient progress. And guess what? All of these priorities, all of these purposes are important. However, we need to be on the same page. Everybody moving forward in the same direction. It's like everyone pointing. If I said point directly at my chest right now, boom, everybody would know how to do that, right? That's what we have to do with our practice team. Get them in alignment. Let them know that our priorities, our individual priorities, are important, and yet there's a single unifying priority. A single unifying priority for our team, and that is to create an extraordinary experience for the patient that day, for all of our patients, not only that day, but consistently each and every day. See, if you are not actively creating an exceptional experience, by default, you're creating an ordinary experience. And people do not come to a chiropractic practice. They don't stay with the chiropractic practice. They don't tell all their friends about an ordinary experience. They come for that extraordinary experience. And we can only have that when we're all firing together, when we're all performing high performance, moving together forward, right? Toward that ultimate goal of today is going to be an extraordinary experience for those patients who are there. How can we do that? Is I've got to count on the doctor doing her job. I've got to count on the front desk CA doing his job. I've got to know that I can delegate those things that are not in my 20% wheelhouse to the other members of my team, and I can count on them being done consistently, and not just well, but extraordinarily, right? So that they're done with an amazing attitude. They're done with integrity. They're done with love and service as the purpose, right? That brings us forward. That's what creates the wow experience, right? We want to have a wow practice. Well, delegation is key to doing that. So let's talk about delegation acceleration. Effective delegation doesn't just add to your achievements as an individual or as a practice. It actually is a multiplier. In the absence of effective delegation, it'll slow you down, slow your practice down more than anything else. That attitude that only I can do it right, or I can't afford to have somebody help me, or I don't have time to train somebody to help me, that attitude is the lack of delegation deceleration is what it is. So delegation is more than just assigning work. This is really important. The gasoline in the engine of delegation that makes it work is accountability, right? So if I delegate something off my plate just to dump it on somebody else, but I don't actually hold that individual accountable for the results, it means I'm giving somebody else the latitude to make the decision about how well I'm going to achieve the results we want our practice to achieve. Delegating means letting go, but it also means letting go with a caveat of we're going to be accountable. Now, accountability, old-fashioned accountability, organizational accountability was top-down accountability, right? So employer to manager to employee, right? In today's workplace setting, that really doesn't work anymore. It absolutely doesn't work if you have millennials or Gen X on your practice team. And the reason you don't is because you will never motivate a millennial with top-down management. Doesn't work. They'll push back, and you'll be like, oh man, I can't get, the millennials have terrible work ethic. They can't do anything. And guess what? It's exactly the opposite. Where millennials excel is in horizontal accountability. We hold each other accountable. The millennial generation has a level of social consciousness that compels them to really go above and beyond just the job itself. They want the why. They need to know the why. Why am I doing this particular task? How does it fit into the bigger picture? Millennials will never be satisfied as being a cog in a machine, right? A millennial will work all week long in your office, and then they'll be out volunteering at the soup kitchen or the volunteering at the finish line at a 401k, a 5K race. It's tax season, 401ks on my mind. Honestly, millennials have this wonderful social consciousness that the older generation, like us, that we can really learn from. And so when we learn that the my way or the highway top-down accountability structure is no longer valid, we can begin to develop a team where we hold each other accountable, where we simply don't want to let each other down. When you can achieve that level of accountability, that horizontal accountability, you've then really created a team structure that is one that is not easily shaken. It's one that really hangs together during tough times, is there for each other. Listen, during every day in practice. Somebody drops a ball, there's a fumble all the time, right? Can't find a file. Somebody goes missing, somebody didn't get a reminder call, all the stuff that can happen, right? Guess what? It's okay. As long as we know that the rest of the team there, if I fumble the ball, they'll come right along, pick that up, scoop it up, and take it across the finish line, right? That's the beauty of horizontal accountability. I'm going to give you a short delegation quiz. So here's a little self-assessment, right? If you need to let go of some tasks and delegate others, this quiz is going to maybe open up your eyes a little bit. So answer these yes or no. So nights and weekends, you physically or emotionally take your work home. Physically or emotionally take your work home. Next, it seems as if you have more work to do than everyone else on the team. Next, you don't have time to do much planning. You're so busy working in your practice that you don't have time to work on your practice, right? You're a perfectionist and you pride yourself on doing everything perfectly, right? Sometimes we get bogged down in the paralysis of analysis and we don't do anything at all. Let's move on with the delegation quiz. You rarely elicit the opinions of your team members. You have difficulty trusting other people to do things right. Right? Can't anybody do anything right around here except for me? It's hard for you to accept ideas offered by someone else. You wish you had more time for family, recreation, and vacations. And then finally, you can't immediately name your top 3 practice goals. The top 3 goals that I'm going to dedicate maybe my next 90 days to, those should be at the tip of your tongue. If you answered yes to more than one of those questions, you really might be able to benefit from some delegation. Ken Blanchard, he is a management guru, time management guru for sure, said it this way. This is one of my favorite quotes. I truly love it. I live by it. I run my business according to it. And it's this: none of us is as smart as all of us. Not one of us is as smart as all of us together, right? Napoleon Hill called that the mastermind. 2 minds get together, produce a third mind of greater power than the individual 2 minds apart, right? I know that in the best chiropractic practices, they have a champagne theory of ideas. So what's a champagne theory of ideas? If you ever looked at a glass of champagne, the bubbles in that glass rise from the bottom up to the top of the glass, don't they? They don't go from the top falling down to the bottom. It doesn't work that way with champagne, huh? You want to have that champagne management style in your practice so that the best ideas are allowed to bubble up from all of the team below. They together, that mastermind, can come up with ideas and solutions that individually we might not ever think of ourselves. So delegation is a wonderful, wonderful tool. So that absolutely wonderful book that I recommend to you by an author named Patrick Lencioni, Lencioni. He's Italian, so that means this is good, right? As you know me, I'm Italian. It's the 5 dysfunctions of a team. The book is kind of written like a parable. It's a business book, but it doesn't read like a business book. It's a real easy read, I should say. He forms a pyramid of 5 levels that a team must go through, 5 behaviors that a team must master in order to become a high-performing team. And the very foundation of that pyramid of 5 levels is trust. And not only trust, but he calls it very specifically vulnerable trust, that I trust my team enough to be vulnerable to their feedback, to their input. So if I make an error, I want them to let me know, right? If my attitude is not where it should be, I'm vulnerable and open to know that, hey, coach me, help me. That's how I improve. If you're not making the occasional mistake, you're not trying hard enough. You got to kind of fall and fail a little bit, as long as you're failing forward, I like to say. Then you're growing and you're learning. And we want to have continuous growth and continuous learning. So go back to the Lencioni trust scale. And he's got a great graph here. I've got it up on the screen for you. And you can see how the curve works. Trust and wisdom is the scale along the bottom, right? As trust and wisdom grows, we enter our job, first day on the job, we're highly dependent upon each other, right? Highly dependent. I don't know the job yet. I don't know the patients yet. May not know the software, might not know all the terminology. Chiropractic, we have some pretty unique terminology. And I need a lot of help, a lot of hand holding. I need a plan. I need a great job description. I need to know your expectations for me. And I need your feedback tremendously to know how I'm doing in my post, right, in my job. The next level as we grow up the trust scale is independence. Independence means I can, remember our graph, doctor has a purpose, front office CA, back office CA, right? Everybody has their own different purpose and they can function independently. And here's where a lot of practices get stuck. So as a practice management consultant, this is one of the things that we look for. I call it siloing, like a silo that you would put grain in, right? That there's a silo of doctor, a silo of front office, silo of back office, and they may be doing their jobs there, but they're not connecting with each other, right? For example, I don't have great communication from doctor to front desk or front desk to back office CA. They're doing their job. People are getting processed through, right? Not a lot of things falling through the cracks. And they're independent of each other. And most people would think that's a good thing, right? You know, here's what I hear from docs, especially docs who've been in practice for, 10, 15, 20 years or more. When I ask them who manages the finances of the practice in terms of patients' accounts receivable, insurance accounts receivable, who manages that? And they say, oh, Mary does that. Mary's been with us for 15 years. I never have to think about it, right? I don't have to think about what goes on with the finances of the practice. She's got it under control. She's up to speed on coding, makes sure our documentation is where it should be, and she's got it all under control. I can absolutely not worry about it at all. And guess what? This is the story that I've heard so many times over my chiropractic career of the embezzling employee. I've delegated the finances of my practice to someone without the loop of accountability back to me, right? I've delegated a highly important task, the blood flow, the life flow of this practice, to someone. And because they have a lack of accountability loop there, it allows a laterality or a freedom that if their ethics and morals aren't up to maybe what they should be, it creates an opportunity for malfeasance on their part. By the way, it's our fault. Sure, they may have created a criminal act or situation, but by not having proper accountability, by not having a proper report back, that is on me as the leader, the owner of that practice. So independence sounds good on the surface. Don't be seduced by independence, right? The ultimate goal, the ultimate level of trust is when we're interdependent, right? We're dependent. We break down those silos. I'm checking in on you. You're checking in on me, not only workload wise, not only skill set wise, but also as a human being, right? How am I doing today? How's my day going, right? How's things going on outside of the immediate sphere of the office that is creating the atmosphere of growth? A great practice team checks in on each other all the time during the day, right? They have a level of relationship that goes beyond just the surface of being workers at a job. They have a level of relationship where sometimes they may even say, some of my best friends are my coworkers. And that's a wonderful thing when that happens. That beautiful horizontal level of accountability grows and grows and grows as that trust scale grows and as our level of wisdom grows in terms of our own self-actualization, our own feeling comfortable within our skin of knowing that it's okay to receive feedback, both positive and negative, without taking it personally, and know that it's there to make me grow. One of the delegation stories I like to say in teaching seminars is the true story. One of our docs shared it with me, and he'd come home. He wouldn't finish his documentation at the end of the day, still be a pile there. He would go home and go into his home office, remote into the computer, and finish up his documentation. And sometimes it would take him till 8, 9, 10 at night to finish that up. And his little daughter asked Mom, why does Daddy go into his office and be in there for hours after he's been working all day? She said, well, Daddy has a lot of work at the office, and he sometimes has to take home that work and finish it up at home. And the little daughter said, well, why don't they put Daddy in a slower class? And so we don't want to be put in the slower class. That did, by the way, that was an eye opener. That story to that doc changed him tremendously. From that point on, it really opened his eyes. I'm not going to be taking this work home, and setting that example to my little daughter and taking that time away from my family. He had to learn systems and put systems in place to be a better delegator and do that at work. So here's some rules for effective delegation. Number 1, select the right person for the job. Okay. You're going to pick the team member that you're going to delegate to for one or two reasons. And they're interesting. They're kind of different. First of all, that team member is the best qualified person to deliver the results. Or, and here's the important one, that's a team member who's going to benefit most from the learning, the growing experience of taking on the task, right? It's by giving them that task. And when we say delegation, we're pretty careful to use the term in terms of delegating a project. We don't delegate single tasks, but we delegate a project, and a project can have action steps. We'll talk about that together as we go on. So the project and the completion of that project is going to contribute to that individual's experience, their growth, their development, and that's going to be something that as a practice team, we're going to benefit from in the future. So as we move ahead here, and Christy, I might need your help because my slide won't forward.
Oh. Okay, it won't forward for me either. So
we're just getting to the good part.
Give me a second. All right, let me try to.
You got it. I'm wondering if I'd be able to share my screen with you. And we might try that. Let's see if I can open up my delegation PowerPoint. Find our slide. Share on the screen. And we'll see if this works. So where I was before was select the right person for the job, right? Best qualified or greatest learning experience for the individual that they can draw on at a later time. Next, we want to provide enough information. We want to provide the big picture. Remember I spoke about millennials, the importance of context, knowing where they are so that team members can see how their task will fit into the overall project, right? Don't just give me something and not let me know its meaning, not let me know its why. You want to help that individual determine what a win looks like. What does success look like? What are the expectations, and setting realistic expectations so that that person has a clear picture of what you really would like to accomplish. And make sure you point out that it's a win-win, right? What's in it for that individual? The growth, the support of the team, and the fact that they're actually helping our practice. Here's some dialogue. Having you take on this responsibility will allow me, the doc, more time to focus on patient care. And you'll have the opportunity to learn more about marketing the practice, which will put us in a better position to afford that raise that you're working towards, right? What's in it for me? WIIFM. What's in it for me? Everybody's favorite radio station. Make sure you delegate entire jobs to one person. Another way to say this is make sure that that task and job, that project, has an owner, right? There may be subsets of people who are helping out on the project, but one person has to be responsible for completion. And give that person full authority over the project. They are the owner. And this will heighten the team member's interest, that individual's interest in the task. It's also going to provide a deeper sense of accomplishment and satisfaction when that task is completed. They're going to know that they are responsible for having gotten that job done. When you delegate something to someone, make sure that all of the other team members know that they're the owner of that task, right? They're not going to lateral around that person and come to you and ask questions about that. I'm going to say, listen, I delegated this to Christy, and it's up to Christy to finish it up, right? That's the person who's going to be accountable for producing results. And then I say, provide a staircase. You know, this is the difference between asking somebody to scale a sheer wall straight up and providing them with a staircase. A staircase is step-by-step bites, right? We take a great big issue or project and we chunk it down into action steps. An action step is something that can be completed in 1 to 2 weeks, right? So don't give somebody just the whole task. Make sure that they know how to chunk it down into action steps and have report backs during that time for those action steps. I want to know, is the project on track, off track? Do I need to renegotiate the date? Or do I need a little help? Have I taken on a little bit too much? By providing that staircase, we're going to have a much greater success at delegating projects in our practice. So each task that's delegated should have enough complexity to stretch that team member, right? but just a little bit. I don't want to stress them out. I want to make sure that it's doable, and I want to make sure that we're here to support each other. Your team wants to build confidence, right? That's key. As we become more confident in our job and our position, when they learn that they can accomplish the tasks that they're given by you and by the rest of the team, guess what? Their confidence level goes way up. I like to delegate through dialogue. Don't be the one who does all the talking. You can involve your team members in the discussion and encourage their suggestions and comments, right? It's not just me dumping on you. Let's talk about this. What does the time frame look like? What do the action steps look like? So instead of saying something like, you got it, or you understand, you can ask questions. Are there any ideas or anything that I haven't thought of? Any blind spots that I didn't see? And you're going to get a better sense of whether or not that individual has got a full grasp of the project, and if your request has been clear or not, if it's been received, right? And finally, with all of our tasks that we are delegating, we must have buy-wins and established deadlines. That helps build in accountability, right? Don't leave out due dates or keep them open or uncertain. Don't say, you can get it to me as soon as possible or when you get around to it. I want to be very specific about when that project needs to be completed by, right? And I can say things like, I trust you to take full responsibility for getting this done. And if you see any problems, let me know. We can always change the deadline. We can negotiate, I say, the deadline unless it's a hard stop. And I'll ask them, give a very specific, see any problems with getting this done by August 1st or whatever that due date will be. Once you've established those due dates, now I can check in and have check-in dates that let me know of the status of the project, right? On track, off track, need to talk about it. But don't hoover over them all the time. I'm going to teach you the online tool that'll make it so much easier for you to do this. But without checking in on progress, you've not delegated, you've abandoned, you've dumped on somebody. I like you to keep a delegation log. I'm going to give you a couple of ways to do that to help track each task that you delegate, each step of each task. And then you'll be able to ask each team member to report on their progress on specific check-in dates that you've negotiated. So here's one form. It's a very simple form. You can make it yourself very, very easily. In Breakthrough Coaching, it's called Form 991 or 991. It's a daily delegation log, and you can see on the screen the action step. The number column they're not numbered right now because we may change the priority of the action steps once they're down. There's a column for the due date, column for when it's begun, column for when it's half done, and then a column for when it's completely done. This daily delegation log is tremendous. If there are certain daily tasks that have to be completed every day, for example, opening up the office or setting up the front desk, have a log up front. Have a checklist just like this of the action steps that need to be done. That way, nothing falls off the table. Nothing gets dropped out that is important and that needs to be done. Here's an example of a more specific delegation list, and it's our Form 211, and it's a daily billing checklist. And here's the checklist of what needs to be done in order to do proper billing in a chiropractic practice. So you can see the item or the action steps. So everything before the bill goes out, pre-billing, you'll see assigned CPT codes, daily code review for errors, weekly code review, pre-error reports, and claim authorization check in the frequency. This is done daily, weekly, right? All of those things. As we get down to the bottom where it says acquisition of patients, here's what needs to be done on a monthly basis. Send out the patient bills or statements. Payment plans, anyone's on a payment plan, review those. Review the patient's AR report, PI, third-party payer reports, and then finally an AR meeting with the owner, the administrator together. So this is a great tool as well to make sure that nothing slips off the table. Now I'm going to I've been teasing you with this all along about teaching you my favorite tool. It's Asana, ASANA, only one N. My name is SANNA, so I wish I had stock in this company. I don't, but it's a wonderful, wonderful tool. So I'm going to take you over to Asana. I'm going to bring you right to my browser, and let's see if we can get here together. I'm going to open up, let's see, change our screen share. See if we can get that. Let's do stop share, and then we're going to go back to start share. Great. And we'll go over to Asana. Here's Asana. Okay, great. Here you have an Asana workspace. And this workspace helps us track the action steps. This is a sample. I'm going to help you build one right now as we go through together. I can sort these by due date. You can see if anything is past due, Asana turns it red. Right? So here's our list of to-dos. I can sort it by individual as well, which is really cool. So I can see each person. So let's go in. You'll go to asana.com, and I'm going to create a workspace.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, yeah.
Your screen is completely black. We can't see anything.
Oh, thanks, Christy. Let's see if I can get us over to Asana. And it may ask me to start share. Great. Let's try that. Let's see. Christy, can we see Asana now?
Yes, we can.
Awesome, great. So I'll just back up for those of you who are wondering where we went there for a sec. This is Asana, or asana.com, and this is called a workspace. And this is where we track the action steps that can be completed in 1 to 2 weeks. So I can sort these by due date, and you'll notice Asana turns the calendar date red if it's past due, right? I have the individual's name, the owner, as we spoke about, and the actual task that needs to be done. And if I want, I can sort it by the owner, by the assignee, they call that in Asana. So those are all together. So this is called a workspace. Let me show you how we build a workspace in Asana and what the value is. So I'm going to go in to Asana, and I'm going to create new workspace. And there we go. I'm going to call this my ChiroHealthUSA workspace. And I'm going to have members of this will be, and I will invite Debbie as well. Great. And we'll do create workspace. And it's cooking. And here she comes. So here's our clean and shiny workspace. If I want to invite any additional people, I can do it right there. On this version of Asana, we can have up to 15 team members. That's plenty for most chiropractic practices. If you have a very large chiropractic practice, I recommend that you set up one of these workspaces for each department. In other words, you might have one for your finance department. You might have one for your active care rehab therapy department, right? So most cases, 15 is going to be plenty for you. You can always add or take people away there. We're going to create a project. So we'll click New Project. And it's going to be a blank project, and we'll have two different ways. We're going to call this project action steps, and we can do it as a list, and that's the view that we had on the screen before, or we can do it as a board, which is like sticky notes. So for my action steps, I like to have it in list view. We'll click create project, and now we're ready to roll. We can add our tasks right here, and the task name might be check CPT code analysis. And the person who's going to do that is going to be assignee, could be me or Deb. And I'll pick the due date, right, that I want for this particular project. And let's say I want that done by the end of the week. So the great thing is Asana will actually send me an email saying, hey, if it gets to Friday and I haven't done a CPT code analysis yet, then it'll send me a email saying, make sure you do that. And it will also turn red up here on Asana. I can add additional tasks, right? So post social media on Facebook, right? And let's give this one to Debbie. And I'm going to say, Debbie, I want that done on Thursday. So you can see I can add unlimited tasks here on Asana. And the importance is I can use this just like my daily delegation log on paper, except for I can access this on my smartphone, on my iPad, on my desktop, and all of the team members, all of the members on the team get to see everyone else here on the team, what's been assigned to them. So when we speak about horizontal accountability, well, the cool thing is that everybody is accountable to each other. And we do a weekly meeting. We look at the tasks that are here, and it's a 3-answer update. On track, off track, and I need a new date, or I need to talk about it. And then we take part of our meeting discussing if something needs some help. And oftentimes, if something needs some help, it means that we chunked it too big and we needed to break that project down into smaller action steps. And that's what we can easily do here on Asana. So this is a wonderful tool. There are great video tutorials on Asana, and I know that you'll enjoy using that. Now I'm going to sneak back over.
Dr. Sanna? Dr. Sanna has just joined the room back. Y'all hold on one second.
I'm back. Okay, so let's go back to where we were in our presentation. We're almost done, and I'm going to do my screen share here. Great, here it comes. Super share. There we go. All right, you guys are great for hanging with me with technology today. So once we've got our Asana set up, or we're using our daily delegation log on paper, you want to give positive and corrective feedback. Positive feedback in public, corrective feedback in private, always. Don't focus on what's wrong, but rather what can be done to make it better, right? Say, geez, it looks like there's a little bit of a problem here. What do you need to get back on track? How can I help? There's a difference between rescuing and supporting, right? If something's not going well, you can support from behind the scenes, right? It often means, as I mentioned before, that we've delegated too big and we didn't chunk it down into manageable action steps. By doing that, most often you're going to take care of any problem that's been done. I like to say, keep the monkey on their back. Don't let people delegate it back to you, right? Passing the hot potato back and forth. Somebody brings a problem, they're having a challenge with the project that you've delegated to them. You can listen without taking it back, without assuming responsibility for solving the problem. Sometimes they just need feedback, right? Teammate or team member might stop you in the hallway as you're going through and say, what do you think? I like to turn the question around and say, well, it's your project. You tell me what you think, right? Team member could ask if it's possible to delay a deadline for another week. And you would say, well, you tell me, is it, right? So that's empowering your team and not necessarily walking home with everybody else's monkey on your back and then sitting there doing your documentation remotely from your home office. Here's a great quote from Andrew Carnegie. No man, could be no man or no woman, will make a great leader who wants to do it all himself or to get all the credit for doing it, right? I love the idea of giving credit, letting other people's flags wave, making sure that we have a culture of acknowledgement in the practice, that we're all focused as a team on catching each other doing things right and not so focused on all the little things that have the potential of going wrong during the day, right? Lots of props and kudos. Give full credit and lots of recognition, right? You don't have to take the credit as the team leader. Make sure that we give personal thanks for folks having done all the work, and make sure you do that acknowledgement publicly, right? Thanking your team members in front of their team, in front of their co-team members, in front of their peers is absolutely a powerful tool to help build their confidence, build their level of trust, and their commitment to the team. If a team member takes a stumble and maybe does drop a ball, then you take the blame, right? Or the credit for that happening, rather than letting that person be used as a scapegoat. You can say, I'm sorry, we chunked it up too big. Let's bring it back down. If a team member hasn't developed their skills enough to accomplish that task, guess what? Then you can come in and then you can help. And you let them learn from their experience so that you'll be able to delegate to them and they'll be able to receive delegation more effectively next time. George Bernard Shaw says that the danger in communication is the illusion that it has been accomplished. Verbal communication is the least effective communication that there is. That's why we use the PowerPoint presentation here. So you're reading it and you're seeing it. I think having tasks recorded either on Asana or on the paper delegation log means that I know that it's there. I know that you know that I know that it's there, and that we're going to be accountable to each other. If I just give you a task to do, fly by in the hallway as we're going, there's a good likelihood that you had something else that you were thinking about that wasn't top of your mind, and there's a chance that that important item might get lost. Let's not focus on verbal communication, but nonverbal communication. Wrapping up, here's a weekly communication form in Breakthrough Coaching on the right-hand side. Our members entered this. It's a highly important form. So it's actually on the nav bar of our website. On the left-hand side is a paper form. Pretty straightforward. Your name, who you're writing this to, if it's to your doc, or if you have an office manager, the doc's name, right? What date it's from, the week ending, and 7 very simple questions. How was your week rated from outstanding to bad? What did you do that went really well? Remember, culture of acknowledgement. I want to write that in there. Is there anything that you didn't understand or anything that you'd like cleared up? Are you getting all of the help and information you need to do your job? Here's another one that I love. In the office, what would you recommend improving that would help you do your job better, right? A culture of continuous improvement. 6 is kind of a catch-all. Anything else you'd like me or us to know? And then finally, one of the most important questions on this form is there a team member that you'd like to acknowledge for something they've done during the week, right? So that in our team meeting, part of our weekly team meeting is a shout out. And we do shout outs for something that somebody did right or well or created an extraordinary experience for our patients. Listen, communication is the team builder that takes us from dependence to independence to interdependence. It's the glue. Communication is the glue that builds a high performance team. Now, I mentioned some forms here, and I'm going to make them available to you. And that's our daily delegation log, form 911. Our daily billing checklist, that great big billing checklist that I mentioned, that form 211. And then finally, the form that we just referenced, form 990, the weekly communication form. And you can receive those by simply texting CHUSADEL, CHUSADEL, to the number 33444. So text CHUSADEL to 33444, and I'll email you the copy of those forms. Christy, thank you so much for having me here as part of the webinar today. It's a pleasure. Thanks for putting up with our technology glitches here, and you were wonderful. I appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you. You are fabulous as always. And thank you to our audience, because I don't know, again, I told y'all, if there's a rain cloud overhead, mine gets all sketchy, and it's always beautiful in Florida. So I don't know what could be going on. But just a reminder, next week we have Miss Lisa Massajuski-West talking about medical necessity, which is a must-attend webinar. She is fantastic. Make sure you please go visit mybreakthrough.com to learn more about Dr. Sanna and his fantastic company and his coaches and the wonderful people that he works with. They have some amazing seminars, and you should check them out because there might be one coming to a town near you. I told Dr. Sanna I don't get FOMO very often, which is the fear of missing out, but his post from Dallas this weekend made me sad because I was like, it's the first one I've missed in over a year.
Yeah, we missed you.
Well, I missed y'all too. So make sure you check out the webinar page to register for upcoming webinars. All of them are posted for March. April, May, and June will be posted soon. Know that Dr. Sanna will be back in 2020 because he is fabulous.
Thank you.
Y'all have a great day.
Bye-bye. Thank you.